We be live, I think. Confirm it in the live chat. How's our audio? Hi, everyone.
Hello,
we're gonna
hello.
we're gonna be discussing the news on atheism, secularism, religion, politics, and cultural stuff. Anything we like, anything. A couple of news that has nothing to do with religion, just so that we get that comment that we often like to get. The butthurt people. What does this got to do with religion? Exactly. Anyways. Do we have any announcements before we could get to the news? Anything, Susie or Rivka? Anything you wanna? We're good to go.
No.
All right, let's get to the. Wait, can we clap for the first news?
Yeah.
First news.
First news: Kenyan woman leaves husband and marries the Holy Spirit in Nairobi, Kenya. Elizabeth Nalim, a 41-year-old Christian Kenyan woman, has supposedly left her spouse after living together for 20 years and claims to have married the Holy Spirit in an act that has shocked many Kenyans. The mother of 6 wedded the Spirit in a ceremony on May 25th, while local officials of the Anglican Church of Kenya in the small town of Makutano were present. The wedding was conducted by Albert Rumaita, the lay secretary of the Synod of the Kitale Diocese. Reverend Samson Tulipus, an assistant bishop in Kapenjura, said that the Anglican Church does not accept the wedding. Senior members of the local chapter of the Anglican women's group Mothers of Union were the bridesmaids. Joshua Nalim, a local man, said that Elizabeth Nalim was already his wife according to traditional marriage customs, claiming he paid 22 heads of cattle for her hand in marriage.
Wait, so is this being official? Like, who's married? Like, it sounded like it was official, like somebody serious was marrying them off. Who was marrying them off?
There was a local assistant bishop who actually purchased the wedding gown and hired cars for the procession.
Okay, I want to talk to that bishop. How did that guy think this is okay?
It sounds like she's becoming a nun. I mean, nuns.
Do you want to know some of his reasoning?
Nun? You mean more like
nuns
Mother Mary?
Have wedding ceremonies. They're like brides of Christ, kind of.
Yeah, but
that's literally what it is.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, but this is not the same thing. This is bride of the only other person that got close to marrying the Holy Spirit. I don't know if it was a one-night stand or did they get married. Wait, this is actually more serious than Mother Mary. What Mother Mary experienced with the Holy Spirit was just a one-night stand. This is full-on marriage.
Let's hear the reasons.
Okay, go on.
Pastor Albert Rumaita, who is also a neighbor of this woman, said, quote, "I made the decision to preside over, plan, and fund the wedding because the world might just be coming to an end and because I'm her neighbor."
What?
I bet you didn't see that one coming.
Because, oh my God, big speech that they're so. Because
so the world might end, and we're neighbors.
Two very valid reasons. The world is coming to an end, and we're neighbors. Oh, this is so.
I had to start the show open with this one. I was like, oh my gosh. Kenji is saying, if she's only marrying the Holy Spirit, is she not also with the Father and Jesus? Is she only hitching with 1/3 of God? This is a very good question, Kenji.
By the way, all the
serious epistemological question.
Also, we're like, this is interspecies marriage, right? The Holy Spirit
think the Spirit counts as a species. It's just like
it does in Christian theology. They're angels. I mean, no, not an angel.
No, they're separate.
They're separate.
They're
it's not a human. Okay,
it's the Holy Ghost.
Well, okay. Given that we don't have consent from the Holy Ghost, can we
She
Can we-
claims she does.
Okay.
Yeah. So she this seems to be part of a spiritual revelation or revival for this woman. She told local bishops that her act was the quote will of God, and that a week after the incident, she received her first assignment from God, saying, quote, "This is my wedding with God. He told me, take this net," meaning like bridal gown, "and wear it and spread the word." She was later spotted along the Kenya-Uganda border and said, quote, "I told God to raise me up like others. I represent all people. I collect people like money to enter the kingdom of God." She said that she prepares to head to Uganda. "I'm going to Uganda. The Holy Spirit is driving me to Uganda. God has shown me signs to travel to the United States when I am done with Uganda. He told me to travel the world, but I told him I wouldn't be able and requested him to recruit other members to help me in spreading the gospel." So I would also like to note that this woman has 6 children that she's just like ditched to marry the Holy Spirit.
Wait, she just ditched them?
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, so we don't know.
Well,
Don't accuse her.
She also closed her hotel business and said that no one should worry about her husband and children. "God told me that he knows what my family will have to eat. He will take care of them. God told me he will take care of them. I am now of the Agape Church. I even came here and found that my grandmother is sick and I prayed for her." So to me, that sounds like she closed their business and just like left. Because she's going to Uganda.
Well, her husband, I thought it was interesting. Like her husband, he's obviously a little bit concerned about this, but the way he said it, he just said, "I'm perturbed." In a video, he talked about how he paid the 22 cows and 15 goats, and right now she's having a wedding with the Holy Spirit. This is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said that he's blaming all this on this church, this full gospel church, that has, and also the culmination of marital troubles they had already been having. And he said that she would get up at 3 a.m. to pray. And when I tried to talk to her about it, she ran away to the neighbors, leaving me alone, which again kind of confirms that she's, split. But, and he's like, "There's not 2 marriages. She's my wife." Like the husband doesn't seem to be having anything of this. Like he's perturbed.
He has had it. Okay, I have a question. I think like we might be underestimating this woman. Like what if like a few months down the road this escalates to guess what? I be pregnant now.
Is this the coming
of the Messiah.
Antichrist?
Oh wait, no.
Or the new Mashiach. Is there a red cow somewhere involved in this?
Guys, keep an eye out.
A red heifer.
She might have left her hotel business because she found a better business. I don't know. I think the husband should cash in on this. I think the husband should be like, "I'm suing the Holy Spirit for my," because like there's no divorce or anything like this here. Like this, the Holy Spirit has stolen my wife. Oh, actually, no, that would mean something. I mean, I don't know.
It's really interesting that people who are higher up in the Anglican Church in Kenya gave a statement to religion news service that said, "This is a great shock to us. It has never happened before. She has embarrassed the church, and we continue to condemn it." Which is
she's getting a lot of attention, which means more people will follow. I'm surprised more people haven't done this before. But here's the thing: this is in Uganda, right?
Kenya.
What? Kenya,
It's
sorry.
in Kenya.
Because if it was in Uganda, this would be. Uganda is like very aggressive towards anti-Christian, like things that are heresy. Kenya is a little bit more chill compared to Uganda, right? So, like, is this illegal in Kenya?
Well, I mean, it's not a literal marriage.
No, but yeah, like going around and telling people that you're married to the Holy Spirit, would that get you in trouble in Kenya? I don't think so.
I'm not aware.
So yeah, I mean, or else she wouldn't do it.
You know what, Armin? You know how you said underestimating her? I thought that, maybe this is just her way of trying to get out from under this marriage and all these kids in a way that she might deem socially acceptable. Rather than say, you know what, I'm done with this guy and these kids. I want a divorce, because that puts some kind of, in a lot of communities, stain on you, right? Especially if a woman is doing the leaving the children. But religiosity, oftentimes people, even if they think it's, nuts, they're like, well, she's just religious, or she got the spirit. And the reason I'm bringing this up is this kind of thing is often, I'm not saying it, she's doing it, but it's often things like this sometimes are how people do try and get out of relationships, but or a marriage, but save face, being sick, going crazy, going to a convent, all these different types of things because of the social stigma of just a woman wanting to leave a relationship and not wanting, to stay with the kids anymore. So I don't know that that's the case, but it could be possible.
I'm looking at the videos of her. These are videos of her wedding to the Holy Spirit. Like it's been taken.
So.
Okay, well, people are taking it very seriously. A lot of people showed up.
Yeah, it was a big event.
Okay, like this is like, okay, so
all her other neighbors, I guess.
No, but that means that she could like. So I guess in Kenya is a country that you could do this, and people are not gonna abuse you or anything because of your heresy. So this could potentially be a successful cult if people are celebrating it like this. Like if she could get this much attention from her marriage to the Holy Spirit, this might work out for her.
Well, let's see how her.
Let's follow her.
The United States goes.
Yeah. What?
She said that God told her to go to the United States after she's done in Uganda.
Okay, this woman has plans. This woman has plans. She's
yeah,
but I know, but
God has plans for her.
No. Like she has business plans. Like she wants to follow the money. You know what I mean? She's like, I'm going on a tour. Like she's clever. Like a lot of people might look at this, right? I don't know for sure. This might be just like a crazy lady. But don't dismiss her as a crazy lady. This could be like a genius master plan. Like she could know exactly what she's doing. Like, why is she like, oh, I'm going to the US? She's like, I don't know, people here are poor. I need to make a cult and also take it to a place where people could donate big money. Right? Like I think I don't know. If she's thinking what I think she's thinking, this woman might be a genius. Like an evil genius. But I don't know. Let's see if it works out for her. If it does work out, it might encourage other people to do the same thing. If anybody is looking at this and like, oh, this is smart, I'm going to do the same thing. Don't do the Holy Spirit because it's going to be an obvious copycat. Like pick something else. Marry the devil. He's a better husband. Okay.
There's lots of women who marry trees and stuff.
No, trees are not famous. Marry the devil. And here's a tip. You don't have to be a woman to marry the devil. The devil is bi. You could be a gay or bi man and say that marrying the devil and turn that into a cult. See how that goes.
What about like I think it's mostly women who marry themselves. Have you seen that?
That's not going to start a cult. That's not going to help you start a cult.
I was just thinking
I think
about
it could.
No, I don't know. I don't think that's a cult worthy. Anything in the highlights, some comments in the live chat before we go to the next news?
Somebody said she's living her best life, which I thought was kind of funny.
Well, and then no, that was Kenji, and then he later clarified. I said that she's living her best life before finding out that she abandoned the kids.
Well, maybe she's living her best life because she abandoned her kids.
Yeah.
I don't know.
6 kids is a lot of kids.
And it also depends on the kids. You know, maybe if you met the kids, you would be like, you know what? I don't blame her. I'm kidding. I don't know.
Typical.
All right. All right. So can we clap for the next news?
I guess so.
Next news.
Next news. Muslim YouTubers accused of deliberate incitement for confronting Jewish people. So on May 22nd, two Muslim YouTubers, Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah, were accused of direct and deliberate incitement, a direct and deliberate act of incitement after questioning Jewish people in the Golders Green area of the United Kingdom about Israel and Palestine. Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah, who together hold 1 million subscribers on YouTube, shared videos of themselves asking Jewish people to denounce Israel's operations. In Dawah's video, he is seen following Jewish people, including children, and asking them if they condemn what Israel does. The member of the Community Security Trust said that they see this confrontation as a deliberate act of incitement that would inevitably alarm the community and stir up tensions.
Wait, incitement. So they are advocating on their YouTube channels to go up to Jewish people and ask them if they are supporting Israel?
No, they're not encouraging other people to do that.
So what were they doing? So how is this incitement?
So this Community Security Trust, it seems like a organization that like fights anti-Semitism or something. They said that it was they are going to a Jewish neighborhood like to confront Jewish people over Israel. Like they're deliberately going to an Orthodox area to show pictures of the big H and have a very like controversial form of protest. They said specifically, on Shabbat as well. We see it as a direct and deliberate act of incitement that was inevitably going to alarm the community and stir up tensions. It's the equivalent of Britain First going to Newham or Tower Hamlets and confronting Muslims on the streets there.
And what's wrong with that? Like confronting, you mean like standing in the street and just asking people questions? Excuse me, I can't believe, like, wait a minute, unless I'm missing something, I think like I'm about to defend Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah.
That's why I wanted to talk about this, because I don't think what they did was incitement.
Yeah, what the hell? You're going to a Jewish area and publicly just asking people about their views? And that's incitement?
I don't think that they're necessarily inciting either, but I do know that the previous caravans of people driving through neighborhoods screaming anti-Semitic and inciting violence against
That's not
Jews.
What these people did.
I know. I'm just saying, I think that people are feeling, because of that one, maybe we're feeling threatened by caravans of people with pictures on the side. Now, I'm not saying what they did is necessarily the same thing by any means, but I do know that there's been from the friends of mine that are living in UK, particularly London, they are very concerned, uptight, scared about any kind of protest and what it could devolve into. Now, I'm not saying that these guys did that or were intending to do something along those nature. I just think that people are like very hyper vigilant because of what's happened. And then I also have some stuff to say about what they had on their van, but I know that
we could.
I want to give a little more context.
Just let me just make a few points, okay? Obviously, we don't agree with Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah on their views, right? What we're judging right now is whether or not this was incitement. And the fact that other people had some bad experience with some other people is, I mean, I know, Rivka, you're not suggesting this, obviously. You're just giving us context, right? So I'm not saying Rivka is suggesting this. But I just want to also add, like, I'm pretty sure Rivka agrees with this, that the fact that people are sensitive to this issue because of the activities of other people does not justify accusing Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah of incitement. these people, Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah, are like, people are saying like, oh, this is like going to the Muslim area of Birmingham and asking Muslims about their views. Yeah, exactly. And what's wrong with that? I did that in Australia in the Muslim neighborhood of Sydney, and I went there and started asking Muslims who were willing to talk to me about their views on ex-Muslims. Right? I interviewed Muslims in the Muslim area of Sydney about their views on ex-Muslims, and yeah, and I didn't harass anybody. Anybody who was willing to answer my questions came forward and asked. This is not incitement. Just because you're in a Muslim area and confronting people about their views, unless they actively went and chased people down who didn't want to talk to them, which doesn't seem like that's what they did. Susanna,
there was a little bit of that in one of the videos. Like Ali Dawah followed a group of people who also had kids with them for seemed like half a block, maybe a full block, like asking them questions when they didn't want to. It's okay. Well, it'll take me a second to find the video, but I also wanted to notice that some of the reason behind some of the tensions and maybe why they felt that this was so inflammatory was because, according to the Community Security Trust, which is a charity set up for the protection of Jewish people in the United Kingdom, there had been 267 reported anti-Semitic attacks before this took place, and just a day before, or a few days before, there was a Jewish driver that was assaulted in the same area in a really violent way, and that person's since been arrested. I think they're out on bail, but yeah, so there was a really violent attack. Very shortly.
Just to clarify, not by these guys, by separate group of people, right?
Yeah.
So again, I don't know. I don't like. Do you have any of the videos, Rivka? You have your hand up.
Yeah. So I watched some of the videos too, and they're, as Susanna's looking for it, but I'm going to say I saw two different kinds of things. I saw them wanting to talk to people and they were like, no, I don't want to talk to you, or I don't want to be filmed. They're like, okay, you don't want to be filmed, and kind of moved on.
Okay.
And then I also saw some where they seemed like they were being a little too insistent and might have made these people feel uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, and it was clear that these people weren't interested in talking to them because they
is not incitement again. It's still wrong. It's wrong.
Right. I'm not saying they were inciting. I'm saying this is what I saw. That
I didn't say you said that.
There were two. But then there was also some interesting stuff because of one of the things that I don't know if it was Ali Dawah or the hijab guy said clearly that he did not believe that Jews are under no obligation to answer for the actions of Israel. No, that was Mohammed Hijab. And he went on to say generalizations to any community, including the Jewish community, is unacceptable, which is kind of interesting in the sense that that's not usually what you hear from people. Most of the time, people say, whether he believes it or not, he said it, so he's making it his public stance. Most of the time, often I hear people demanding that all Jews are Israel and Israel is all Jews. And so often you see people going to protest something happens in Israel at like a Jewish community center because the Jews are there. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then he had some big H messages on his van, which I think some people got upset about, which I don't know is necessarily incitement in my opinion. I think the conflation he's making is absolutely crap.
Yeah, I disagree with what he's saying. I don't think him saying it is incitement.
Yeah. Right. Did you find the video, Susanna? You looked like you... Okay.
Yeah, I mean, even if they followed some people a little bit before, if they were not comfortable with it, again, that's wrong methodology. However, it's still far away from incitement, which is ridiculous. By the way, this kind of accusations, if this accusation of incitement is inaccurate, it really does a disservice to Jewish people, given how the level of discrimination that the Jewish people are facing. Inaccurate accusations of discrimination makes it a lot difficult. And this is like, Jewish people are the community of people that are experiencing discrimination more than anyone else around the world, right? So you want to be able to identify these again, if this is not an incitement and you're calling it an incitement, you're
It's an
making
exaggeration.
you're making it a lot more difficult for us to tackle this. But anyway, Susanna, you wanted to show something?
Well, okay, so granted, in the video, this is the only time where this occurs, or at least that is shown in the video, but you were saying, does he like follow people? This is just, one instance where that happens. Let me know if you can't hear this.
How is Afghanistan? How is it? Sorry? This is Afghanistan. The brutality in Afghanistan. 68 people were killed by a bomb by I don't know some.
Yeah. It's a
no one talks about that. Yeah. No one talks about that.
Can we get some of your opinions? Can we start a conversation? Are you pro-Israeli terrorist state?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Israel terrorist state.
No such thing.
Yeah. Do you condemn the killing of Palestinian kids?
100%.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So what do you condemn what Israel is doing?
Huh?
Do you condemn what Israel is doing? You have innocent kids like yours. Imagine if your kids this.
Okay, lay off
I'll be
now.
the first to stand.
Very fine.
I'll be the first to stand against
Stand up
oppression.
for every other outlet.
Many of these Zionists, right? And you
Okay, Haz?
Do you want to ask the people that are coming?
Okay, that was a bad tactics. Like
Yeah.
I think just a few first seconds that he followed him was fine because he started the conversation. He's talking to them, right? So if you're talking to me, I'm assuming that it's okay to talk to you back. And they did hide the children's faces,
Yeah.
right? But I think the worst thing you could say is that after a few seconds of you seeing that they're not interested, maybe you should lay off, which is like a good advice. And I could say, like, yeah, the worst thing that I see is that Ali Dawah followed a group of Jewish people for maybe 4 seconds too long, which is a fair criticism, but not incitement to violence. God damn it. Like, what is that? This is actually I encourage, other than that following part, this is good. Like, they're like Muslims and Jewish people like having a conversation about their views with each other. In fact, yeah, I'll support this, right? Like, this is dialogue. Other than the following, for too long. Rivka, you seem to want to say something.
So this is their video, right? That they made. So from what I can see, it doesn't seem threatening, might make people uncomfortable, but that's different than incitement or threatening. But we also don't know if they're not going to show instances. Like, if I were making a video, I wouldn't show the places where it went really wrong. And so I don't know if this is the entirety of what happened, and will we, but I'm guessing it must be, because I would assume other personal videos of people that they engaged with would have surfaced, or if they do, then we'll see. Because if someone feels threatened nowadays, the first thing they do is take out a camera most of the time, or bystanders do. So it's hard to know exactly everything that happened, but what we can see, like I said, people may be annoyed or uncomfortable, but that's different than incitement to violence or threatening someone, or, slurs or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was a lot of other videos that they put out where they were taking this display car to a lot of other sites, including the Israeli embassy and a company that makes weapons for Israel or something, or maybe partners with them in some sort of military capacity. And just kind of going around showing their signs in different areas. I think I completely forgot what I was going to say. I'm so mad right now.
Okay, Sus, here's a question. Did you watch these videos? Because I'm wondering if they showed a diversity of opinions among Jewish people?
I watched most of them. Yeah.
Okay, so did they show that some Jewish people and other Jewish people had different opinions?
Yes.
Okay, so overall, I think this is a positive thing. Okay, when I went to, I forgot the part of Sydney, which is the Muslim area. That video, by the way, went viral. But when I was interviewing Muslim people in the Muslim part of Sydney, I made sure to, because a lot of people like Imam Tawhidi took the part where it showed that the Muslims were like wishing, saying yes, it's okay to execute ex-Muslims, and they clipped that part and they played it, and that part like went viral on Twitter and stuff. But if you actually look at the whole video that I showed a diversity of opinions, right? There was some people who were like saying, yes, we should, like, we're going to take all over the world and execute ex-Muslims. But there were many Muslims who were like, even like completely okay with letting people criticize Islam, right? So if you look at the entire interview I did, it showed a diversity of opinion. So it's not like, and people say, like, if people say like, oh, they're clipping, they're editing this to make it seem this way or that way. Well, if they included a diversity of opinions, I think this was a very helpful project, because these are people, like, Muslims don't watch us, Muslims watch their channel, right? So a lot of Muslims have this view of Jewish people with being just all the same view and homogenous, like, opinion. But now they're watching their favorite Muslim channels interviewing Jewish people, and they see like, hey, not all Jewish people think alike, so maybe I should not judge all Jewish people the same way, because and even the ones that I disagree with, maybe some of them have some points that is more, that they come to the conclusions differently than what I assumed, from the way I thought they would come to their conclusions, right? So I don't know. I think this was the opposite of incitement. I think this was like, whatever incitement we saw, I think these kind of videos might actually help discourage those. Like, look, you guys are like the other people who are attacking Jewish people. Look, we're actually managing to have a dialogue with them, right? And also, you shouldn't attack Jewish people. Look, like, we are popular Muslim channels and we are capable of having a discussion. I think this was like I would, even though I disagree with Mohammed Hijab's and Ali Dawah's views, I think overall more of this is needed. But go on, Susanna.
I remembered what I was going to say. In the video, it's highlighted, or series of videos on these different channels. It's highlighted how the police were called like very quickly into them arriving in Golders Green, like within 5 to 10 minutes. I actually think it's awesome that the police were there, because they're ensuring the safety of everyone while still being able to respect everyone's rights, right? So I don't even necessarily think that that's a bad thing to just have them. But some people are saying that they're like being monitored to see. I guess there's different laws in the UK around hate speech and anti-Semitism.
What's her name? Was it Lauren Southern? When
Yes.
she showed up in the Muslim area of Sydney to interview Muslims, the police showed up for her as well. I think it's fine as long as they're letting the interview happen. Actually, that was worse, because they were not letting the interview happen. Anyways, yeah. I do want to address what Soha is saying. Soha is saying, Armin, okay, separate group of people, but they were influenced by these two morons. You don't know that, Soha. How do you know that? How do you claim that? It seems like these videos would have the opposite effect of inciting violence. These videos are, to me, unless I'm missing something, these videos seem to be the remedy, because they're encouraging discussion and dialogue instead of violence. I don't think that's an accurate. Just because we disagree with people, we don't have to accuse them of the worst crimes, right? Like, yes, we are ideologically we are, again, we're on the opposite side of Ali Dawah Mohammed Hijab. That doesn't mean that if we see an accusation of incitement of violence, we should just jump on the bandwagon and be like, oh yes, these are people we don't like, therefore accusations must be true. Rivka?
I also think that, on some level, I think the incitement that some people may have felt, and I'm just merely speculating, but was the big H sign in and of itself was what was perceived on some level, because they were equating that with what's happening in Gaza and making these comparisons to the bad Germans that start with N. And we're using coded language for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about. Big H being, what happened in World War II to Jewish people.
In Poland.
And all over.
Yeah, mainly, number one.
Poland and Germany and all over.
I know, but that's what I'm just trying to give people some.
Right.
Yeah.
So they get it. But so I think that on some level, people perceive that as because it's such a sensitive subject, and also because it's such a false equivalence in this particular case, because they were discussing Gaza and trying to draw this connection and equate the two.
Right.
And
I get it. But again, as you mentioned, even if it's wrong, it's still not incitement.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Great point.
So we came out. We are very consistent free speech absolutists here.
Yes, we are officially. Great job, whoever came up with this accusation of incitement. You made us defend Ali Dawah Mohammed Hijab. Atheist Republic is officially defending Ali Dawah Mohammed Hijab against accusations of incitement.
It wouldn't be the first time we've defended their free speech.
Yes, unless there's something that is not being mentioned here that we're missing, but doesn't seem like it. But we are willing to change our opinion if new information comes out. As always, that goes with everything that we report here. Okay. Wait, what is this? Blank name is saying. You want to read this?
Blank name is saying, I don't think they are inciting violence, but considering the circumstance, it was inappropriate.
Why?
Also, there may not be explicit hate, but implicit.
So other than their views on the big H, I don't know why it is inappropriate. Given the circumstances, I think more dialogue is exactly what we need. So I don't know why is it inappropriate? Like, how long do we have to wait before we can talk about it?
Given this fact that this very violent attack happened, literally within a day.
Maybe more dialogue is a solution, no?
Absolutely.
People were just tense.
Right, which is what I said, specifically when they see cars of people because of the incident with about 2 weeks ago when they were it was a planned event and they were driving through Jewish neighborhoods and screaming violent, insightful, nasty, horrific things. So that may be what he's thinking about or she's thinking about, blank name. I don't know. But maybe that was the context where they were going. I don't know that it was necessarily inappropriate, but
yeah. Rivka, I have a solution to that. Okay. I don't think Mohammed Hijab or Ali Dawah would watch this, but here's a recommendation. Do this again, but go with kosher food and just like falafel or whatever, and start giving out say Muslim cooked kosher food for Jewish people to come eat with Muslims. Like, we have halal and kosher food at the same time, and it's free. You could come over, sit down, and eat our food that we cooked for you, and we will have a conversation over food. I think the food will be an obvious sign that this is a friendly gesture.
I think you're right. And I also think how these things tend to be better received or perceived is when you make an invitation. Hey, we're coming to your community. We want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be here. You know what I mean? So at least maybe that might alter the perception where it's becoming please come and talk to us.
Yeah.
And we made food.
I also don't like the assumption that if men with beard show up and because they're Muslims, inherently just them showing up inherently means a threat. Do you know what I mean? That suggestion. Some people might be
absolutely.
Some people seem to be like, it's an act of violence just because you look like a Muslim. You showing up here we're going to perceive it as a threat just because of the way you look. So I'm assuming that some people are suggesting that, like, your presence here, it's a threat by itself, right? So I think, like, if some people are suggesting that, I'm getting that vibe for some people. So I just want to highlight that as well.
Well, and I would like to point out that judging people and making assumptions and thinking that something about them based on the way they look is exactly some of the issues that people were suffering in, because this was a particularly Orthodox community where people were visibly wearing the signs of their religion. And that's what's happened to a lot of visibly Jewish people, is people see them and they make an assumption about them, and then they act on that assumption, right or wrong, and often in violent ways. So we shouldn't do the same thing to others, because it doesn't, A, it's not cool, and B, it's not how you treat people, and it's not about equanimity, and it's not about human rights and all these things. People get to look how they look. And if you don't like it, there's no, anyway.
All right, we should move to the next news. Unless, Susanna, you wanted to mention anything or highlight anything? No, we're good. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
It's not something we support, but no one was physically harmed.
All right, we'll clap without enthusiasm.
Okay.
Next news.
Next news. Texas firm petitions court for religious exemption to fire LGBT people. Braidwood Management, Inc., a management service firm in Texas, is urging a federal court to grant it religious privilege to discriminate against LGBTQ people. The owner of the Christian businesses, Steve Holtz, says he does not employ people who are known to take part in, quote, sexually immoral behavior or gender nonconforming conduct of any sort. He's attempting to overturn the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission's, or the EEOC, interpretation of Title VII, which was accepted in 2020 by the Supreme Court in the landmark decision of Bostock versus Clayton and Company. He claims that it's possible to discriminate against LGBTQ people without bringing sex into account, and therefore he could do it without breaching Title VII. He listed rules that he believes would be neutral when it comes to sex, and that would therefore allow him to avoid hiring LGBTQ people. So this was Rivka.
So I find it really interesting because some of the civil rights protections that are in a lot of these Title VI, Title VII, Title IX, all of these civil rights protections in the United States, a lot of the people were against hiring Black people because they were the tribes of Ham or some Bible ridiculousness. Women, once they got pregnant, teachers were usually fired because that meant that, they were involved in some kind of relationship, whether it was within the bounds of marriage or not. Religious people discriminated against religious people, wouldn't hire them, fired them, wouldn't let them, pray, wouldn't let them wear their. So, and in the United States, those protections are what we call equal protection under the law. So them claiming that somehow they can separate their bigotry from discrimination by just giving it another name. So they were saying, well, it would be sex discrimination if you not fire a woman for marrying a man, but you can fire a man for marrying another man. I'm not sure where they're getting this. Somehow it's not about sex, meaning male or female, but it's about that person's liberty to act as they choose outside of their employer's eye. So their job doesn't have anything to do with whom they're married to or what religion they are or their color of their skin or any of that stuff. So it's just, I just can't see it flying. I can't see it flying. And if it does, then that'll set a precedent that is really, really negative and could backfire on religious people as well. Because if you can fire someone for that part of their life, well, then you could fire someone for being a Christian. I don't hire Christians. I don't hire people who say, you know, have a blessed day or whatever it is. It just seems like it's a very, very slippery slope, and I don't see it actually holding up in court.
Yeah, so my understanding of, and like the law is not my area, I could be getting this wrong. But my understanding of the like current state of the argument is that sexual and gender minorities are protected under sex discrimination law and precedent, because it is actually basically it could be interpreted as discrimination on the basis of sex, because you're discriminating against that person because they're a man and they're doing that behavior. You wouldn't discriminate against them if it was a woman who was doing that behavior.
Exactly. And so he's
trying to say, I'm going to discriminate against both of them, and therefore it's not against this ruling if I do that. That's how I understand this. So but I want to go over some of these rules that he's created that he thinks he could discriminate against someone of both sexes and therefore find a loophole into the Supreme Court ruling. So, and I was shocked at how wide-reaching they are and the level of like authoritarian influence into its employees' lives is insane. Okay. Just get a load of this. Get a load of this. So these rules include: 1, no employee, male or female, may enter a gay bar or gay bathhouse. No employee, male or female, may engage in the sexual practices associated with homosexuality. No employee, male or female, may engage in deviant sexual intercourse as a term as defined in Section 2502 of the Texas Penal Code, which we will get into. They may not use Grindr or any other dating apps used primarily by homosexuals. They may seek or obtain hormone therapy unless it is prescribed for a medical condition other than gender dysphoria. And they may undergo surgery to modify their genitals unless that surgery is needed for a medical condition other than gender dysphoria. So what right does he have to interfere in someone's life like this? It's insane.
Which is where I'm going with when I brought up what you do when you're not on the employer's private time is not his business, so to speak. That's a big overreach, and that's a privacy invasion, particularly like you can't go on Grindr. Your employer's telling you can't use an app. You can't enter a building. You can't, so how you can have sex and in what ways. So it seems to me it's a big overreach, and it's also a privacy thing. And typically the United States courts are really loath to control people's private, even because they have these rules often, but they're never enforced, or when they are enforced about sexuality or types of sex you have, they're usually overturned. So, but the privacy issue itself, the sort of big brother aspect of it, I just don't see something like that, really being something a court would be happy siding with, because that's really, not only is it very authoritarian, but it's really reaching the fingers of this corporation into every possible aspect of this person's life, including, what type of sex they could have.
All right. I want to say three things. First of all, the audacity that it takes for this fucker to come out and say that, like, they're saying the quiet parts out loud. They're like, I want to be a homophobe, make it illegal. Like, they are actively asking for them to be allowed to discriminate against people. Like, they're not even hiding it. Like, most right-leaning people and conservatives, they're like, you know, I'm just going to say family values, blah, 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 like, you know, this and that. You need a mom and dad to children. Okay, fine. LGBT is fine, but you're brainwashing our children, blah, 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 blah. This guy is like, no, I want to discriminate against gay people. Who do you have a problem with that? Make it legal. Make it legal for me to discriminate. It's so well. I mean, I'm grateful that this guy is not hiding it. At least, like the other conservatives, like he's like, I'm a bigot. Okay, I want this to be legal for me to be a bigot. Like, I want.
He's not saying he wants to make it legal. He's saying that he wants not to have to follow the rules that every other
Right, can I finish my
company
I know
in the America has.
Yes. We're being pedantic now with the vocabulary, but same point. But let me please finish my points, okay? So another thing I wanted to mention is I'm hoping that this organization, like people in the chat, I'm not a legal expert. I don't think this is going to work. Some people in the live chat are saying it's not going to work, and I hope that's true. And if it doesn't, I hope he signaled to whoever needs to investigate these companies that we need to be investigated, right? Like, I hope the laws in Texas are like, no, you don't get to do this. You don't get an exemption. By the way, this company needs a whole bunch of agents up and down, the whole institution, just making sure like what's going on here. Okay, so not only you're not going to get away with this, not only you have to follow the rules that everybody else is following, you are suspect number one now. Okay. Last thing I want to say, the third point I wanted to make is, if anybody here follows like conservative YouTubers in United States, right? Like, if you follow Officer Tatum and if you follow Ben Shapiro, right? The people who cry about cancel culture every time somebody leftist shuts down somebody else, right? Please see if they're going to condemn this, if they're going to call this out as cancel culture, right? As some people who want to discriminate, because the standards that they have for left-leaning institutions, they don't apply that to right-leaning ones or people or institutions or politicians. Because if any left-leaning organization had this level of canceling of people, not just like their content, their jobs, we're talking about these people's way of making money, right? Like getting people fired because of this. This is like the height of cancel culture, right? Coming from the right. So if they don't highlight this, because I bet you if anyone, left-leaning, politician, organization, or person, did something that was remotely this cancelly from the left, they would be highlighting it. They would be jumping on that on their shows. So, and ask yourself, why are they not highlighting like this? Is this not cancel culture? Like, this is not you getting banned on Twitter. This is you losing your fucking job. This is by far a lot worse. So why are they like, do you trust these people? Like, ask yourself, do I trust these content creators if they're not highlighting shit like this? Anyways, Sus.
Very good points. He lays out all these arguments. And then at the end, he basically argues that at the very least, he should be allowed to discriminate against bisexual people. He's like, okay, I might not be able to get all of them, but at least I can get the bi.
What?
Yeah.
Come on, y'all. Give me
I've
the
been personally targeted. He says, quote, an employer who discriminates against all bisexual employees, regardless of whether they are male or female, could not possibly be engaged in sex discrimination under Bostock, which is the legal precedent. reads the filing, because that is the same trait, meaning sexual attraction towards members of both sexes, and is treated exactly the same regardless of whether that trait appears in a woman or a man. So he's like, I can get some of you.
Wow. Why is he specifically upset about your people, Sus? Why is it the bias?
We're not very popular.
Oh. Rivka, you want to say something?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about the penal code in Texas that he is referring to, which, so reading from this, a lot of it has to do with, sexual relations between relatives, which we understand protects, the health and safety of the community. But then it also has that what they consider deviant sexual intercourse means any contact between the genitals of one person and the mouth or anus of another person with intent to arouse or gratify the sexual desire of any person. So this guy, and first of all, this law is not possibly, be enforced at this point. Although if they say it's current as of 2020, when I was looking at it, but he's not just wanting to insert the company into a homosexual or a bisexual person's life. He wants to insert his company morality into straight people's lives, into single or married people's lives. This guy wants to be in your bedroom. And in order to work for him, you have to agree to that. But I wanted to bring up about what the difference between this might be and then like morality clauses in contracts, because those do exist, but that is usually when you represent a specific company as a spokesperson. So those may be, if you're a representative of the company at a function or, at a meeting or whatever, then you have to conduct yourself a certain way. And those tend to be upheld. But this is different because this guy is saying, I can fire you because your private life, not as a representative of the company, is something that my religion says you can't do, versus someone saying you were representing our company at, this function and you showed up drunk or you, blah, blah. Those things tend to be more upheld. But this seems like the discrimination difference versus a morality clause in a contract is where it hinges on.
Okay, the part that you read, like putting penis next to what? Puts to anuses with the intention of sexual pleasure.
You can't have oral sex either.
No,
Nope.
wait, but no. I just want to ask this question: what other intentions are there? Like what? Like can anybody think of a scenario where you're like putting someone's penis into someone else's anus and you're like, yeah, this is not for the sake of sexual pleasure? Like, are there, is there a world? Well, I mean, even then,
Well, if it's forced, then yes,
it
it's
would
not.
be one side pleasure, I guess.
Or not even. Usually it's about power and
maybe it's like a study, medical purposes. Like, I don't know, like, there we go. Research. There you go. Exactly. That's the only other thing that I could think of. Okay. All right. That was weird. For science. Okay. All right. See, look, you two think about abuse. Me and the live chat were thinking about science. Where you
Because
guys?
we're women.
Oh shit. Oh shit. You're right. Okay. Wow, pulling the woman card out. Okay, cool.
But
yeah.
actually,
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're right. Oh wow.
so
that was a pretty good response. Yeah, Rivka.
So I'm just going to mention this in case anyone's interested, because I think it's very interesting. There's an article on the Penn State Law Review, which is morality as a legitimate government interest. And he discusses whether the government has a legitimate interest in defining morality, or controlling specific morals, or fighting against other morals. And it's very interesting because he talks about this whole, somewhat about what this is, not necessarily about discriminating based on someone's sexual orientation or something like that, but just the idea that the government legislates morality, and morals tend to be, in my opinion, more about, they tend to be very religious based in some way because they're always fixed, right? It's always bad to do A, no matter what the situation is. A is always a sin, whereas ethics are different because those are about relationship and choice, and they're contextual. The context matters when you're discussing ethics. So I find it interesting that he uses the word morality, because this sort of is what this guy is saying, that the government has an interest in allowing me to legislate morality on my employees, so to speak, and control their behavior. And so anyways, Penn State Law Review, if you're interested, I thought it was quite interesting.
Okay. Can we clap for the next news?
Yes, we can. It's fantastic.
And next news.
Next news. Indian court bans conversion therapy, directs reforms in LGBT education. So, guys, I thought this was awesome because, we cover a lot of news in India that is not particularly good, but this is some of the most progressive news I've heard out of India in a while. Like, this is amazing. So, on June 7th, the Madras High Court in the Indian state of Tamil Nadu banned any medical attempts to cure or change the sexual orientation of a person in a significant upholding of LGBT rights in the state. So just to emphasize that this is a state decision. This is a national. The court has also announced directives to sensitize society and various branches of the state to remove any prejudices against them. In addition, the court directed several reforms in educational institutions. Earlier this year, 2 young women who fled their homes in Madurai and recently reached Chennai after their families opposed the relationship between them were brought to court. In March 2021, the Madurai police allegedly harassed an LGBTQ activist and a trans man for sheltering the lesbian couple. The court ordered counseling to the couple's parents after they sought protection following threats from their parents. Having undergone the psychoeducation session, Justice Venkatesh said that he strongly feels that the change must occur at a societal level. So, this is like 3 news items rolled into one, really. So one of them is that it all happening in Tamil Nadu. So one is that the court has banned conversion therapy in the state. Another is that the state government has issued a directive that there needs to be educational sessions basically for government employees for the protection of LGBT people, and a lot of other protections for LGBT people. Like, just, it seems based on the wording like of this, like a massive push for education about the community and the need to protect their rights. And another aspect of this is that they have made a decision in terms of the protection of LGBTQ adults. So we've covered a lot of stories that happened before of issues where there have been like a lesbian couple and they're living with each other, and their parents will basically threaten them, possibly kidnapped them or called the police on them as if they're a missing person to then have them returned to their family. And these are adults. And often the police will cooperate and actually separate the couple and return one or both of them to their parents, which is obviously, I find that as an extreme overstep of those people's liberties. And so there was decisions in here to also say that you can't do that anymore. We need to actually take steps to protect the couples in this position. We're not going to assist in this form of harassment any longer. So all massive things across the board, and I'm very into this.
I'm getting conflicting reports in the live chat on whether or not this state in India is a conservative state. Some people are saying Tamil Nadu, which is the state, I think it's a southern state in India, right? Because I assumed the more religious ones were more north. So I thought this is south. Or like, wait, is this a conservative state or not a conservative state? And some people in the live chat are saying it's conservative. Some people are saying it's not conservative. So I don't know. But you want to read what Katie is saying?
Yes. This judge, N. Anand Venkatesh, actually requested the Chief Justice of India to be able to keep hearing this case so that he can keep learning about the LGBT community. So that was actually one thing that was interesting is a lot of the comments by this justice. So he said that he would undergo psychoeducation to understand same-sex relationships better and sought an appointment with the psychologist. And so he's said that he can't make a decision basically until he learns more about the community. And then having undergone this education session, he said, ignorance is no justification for normalizing any form of discrimination. The actual problem is not the fact that the law does not recognize a relationship, but that the sanction that is accorded by society is not available. It is only for this reason I strongly feel that a change must take place at a societal level, and then it is complemented by law. There will be remarkable change in the outlook of the society by recognizing same-sex relationships. The LGBT community cannot be left in a vulnerable atmosphere where there is no guarantee for their protection and safety. So in the court enlisted some of the following measures, that there should be meetings with parent-teachers associations to teach parents about the LGBT community. They should also have gender-neutral restrooms available for children in school and college. They should be able to change the name and gender on academic records for transgender people. And like I said earlier, in terms of some interim directions to ensure safety and protection to the LGBT community, one of them is the police, on the receipt of any complaint regarding a girl, woman, or man missing cases, which upon inquiry/investigation is found to involve consenting adults belonging to the LGBT community, shall upon receipt of their statements close the complaint without subjecting them to any harassment. So this alone is going to be, I think, as long as this is actually abided by, but result in a really great improvement in the quality of life of LGBT adults in the state of Tamil Nadu.
Especially if the parents know that they can't use the police as a cudgel against their children. That's good.
By the way, first of all, I'm going to mention that for all the people who accuse us of trying to make India look bad, hey, give us good news from India. We highlight it. We're actually motivated more. It's good for our, we want to have more good news. We feel better when we have more good news than bad news every week that we cover here. So good news coming out of India, we would like to highlight that, right? So see, are we making India look bad right now? We got good news from India and we're highlighting it, right? Yeah, so give us more good news. We'll highlight it. However, how is this? Susanna, what do you think the effect of this is going to be based on what you read, and Rivka, if you've also read this, on the rest of the states, do you think like this is going to normalize? This is going to have an impact on the rest of India as well? Like this is going to?
I don't know nearly enough about Indian politics to be
Hmm.
able to give you an answer to that.
Okay, Rivka or Katie also in the live chat, or Silva.
I was going to
You're-
make one comment, and again, I don't know that much about Indian politics, but if this is enforced and if people feel more comfortable and safe, LGBT people feel more comfortable and safe in this state, it could influence it if more people move to that state, more LGBT people, and then, because that's how a lot of things tend to sometimes change in the United States, is you have demographic shifts, which then shifts the thought process and the people around you, and then those people get elected, and then so it's possible that if people know that they have some legal protection in that state, they may, if they have the means, go there, and then that could change.
That's actually a very good point, Rivka, because if we have some states in India which are a lot more accepting of LGBT people, then a lot of LGBT people wouldn't have to like find ways to go to other countries. Like they have a way out. Like they just need to move out of Uttar Pradesh and move to another state that is more friendly to them, and they will have a safe haven. So yeah, that's actually
and if more people in the community are accepting, then they may elect more people who are so then you have this sort of snowball effect of acceptance, the demographics, and then their children or their families then talk to their friends, and then those people get elected, and blah blah blah.
Suze.
Yeah, no, I really liked your point. Like, I want there to be a San Francisco of India. Like, anyone from India in the live chat, is there an equivalent of San Francisco anywhere in India? Like, what's the
People in the live chat are saying Oregon. They're saying the Oregon of India.
Oregon? What does Oregon have to do with anything? It's it's California or New York all the way for gay culture that pushed this
Miami,
period.
baby, Miami.
No, in terms of historical relevance, San Francisco, LA, and New York. No questions asked.
Guys, Susanna's biased because she's from there, so she's trying to promote her city. So.
No, and also this is like part of what I got my degree in. But I want you guys to know, someone from India, please tell me, what is the gayest city in India? Or is there anything that's equivalent?
Asking for a friend. Asking for a friend.
That friend being myself. But yeah, I'm really excited about this news. Yay for India. Shouts out Tamil Nadu. I really hope that these big decisions really improve the lives of the people who live there. And I don't know, maybe if you're LGBTQ and you have a tough situation in India, like maybe that'd be a safer area for you to move to. I don't know.
You want to read this comment as well?
Chihaya is saying Kerala would be a better idea if you asked me. Better idea for what? Remember Tamil Nadu.
We're moving to, I think.
Oh, is casteist to the core, and LGBT plus live-in relatives, etc., are generally frowned upon. Live-in relationships, excuse me.
Rivka, you want to say something?
Well, to this point, this very well may be true, but the judge himself was saying, look, this is how we're hoping to change some of this mindset of people. So I think that regardless of whether they're frowned on or if it's a more conservative area, the fact that this happened there is even more exciting and more proof that, things can change and people might want to change. And this judge is trying to encourage that and talk about all these things about how to move beyond those stereotypes or those negative assumptions.
Katie's saying that, but the relatively more liberal places are hella expensive to live in. Yes, but it's less expensive than moving out of India and going to like a European country or North American country,
exactly
right?
My point.
Yeah. So yeah, it's more expensive, but it's less expensive than people in India be like, I'm gay,
I'm going
trans,
to North America.
I'm going to North America. Yeah, like, okay, hella expensive, then that's, yeah.
And just shouts out to the San Francisco Bay Area. Okay, look at our slang, our language, hella. Let's not across the world.
Okay.
Culture.
It's just trying to your imperialism is showing cultural imperialism.
It's just awesome.
I'm just talking woke.
Are we gonna have a USA we're number one shout now too?
No. Susanna just only California for Susanna, not the rest of the US. I don't think so.
No, okay. I was born and raised in Seattle. That's like, when I say our language, someone who's from the Bay Area would be like, "Girl, what are you talking about? Our language."
All right. So yeah, people are saying here. This answer to your question. People are saying.
Goa, Mumbai are far better than Tamil Nadu. Oh, okay. Well, Tamil Nadu is the state. There's a difference between, especially Goa. Okay, those are the gay places to go. Let me write that down.
USA.
If you're gay, you gotta Goa to Goa.
Oh,
You just made Armin so upset.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Can we clap for
Armin? Whose jokes are worse to be better? Ali Rizvi's or Rivka's?
It's hard to pick. I don't know. I have to think about that.
That's why Ali and I get along so well.
Yeah, you guys should have your own podcast. Okay. Can we? Oh yeah, Rivka actually should go on Ali's show. We should talk to Ali.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we clap for the next news?
It's something I hate, but let's clap. Not good.
Not good. Clap with that enthusiasm. Next news.
Christian billionaires fund push to kill the Pro-LGBT Equality Act. In February 2021, the Equality Act bill passed the House of Representatives with a bipartisan majority, and the Biden administration has promised to sign the final bill. If passed through the U.S. Senate, it would ban discrimination based on sex, sexual orientation, gender identity in employment, housing, public accommodation, education, federally funded programs, credit, and jury service. However, the bill is falling victim to a scheme that has been described as a sophisticated dark money operation. A review of tax filings by allied nonprofits and some accidental public disclosures reveal that the National Christian Foundation, or NCF, the sixth largest charity in America, lies at the center of the operation. The NCF has taken millions in from wealthy people and their organizations on the Christian right and has used its wide influential web to lead an attack to block the Equality Act.
Why are they so afraid? Like, why is all this effort? Like, why do you think it is, Sus? Or Rivka?
I think it's because religious people are knowing they're losing ground in terms of relevance. So they're trying to come up with things that are different about the world now that some people might not understand versus how they grew up or how they were taught about how things are supposed to be. And they're just latching on to those as like weird scare tactics to somehow remain relevant. But what's interesting about this, it's not exactly your question, but this particular fund, it's not like a normal political advocacy fund. They act more like donor advised funds, like with the stocks and stuff, so that you put your money in and then the donor can allocate where they want the money to go. They're not supposed to be determinative for tax purposes, but they often are. So the donor advised fund, when a donor, they can't necessarily make the decision, but they suggest it. And when they sell it to people, that's what they do. Like, give us your money. So, and if you want it to go to, crushing the gays, then okay. Or if you want it to, so it's interesting how they're doing this, because they're not really coming right out and saying what their charity does. But then on the sly, when they talk to these billionaires, oh, well, you don't like this, well, give us the money and we'll work on that. So it's kind of interesting just about how, and they're also profits. So like they said 63,000 nonprofit receiving grants since the 80s.
So how do they manage to keep their 501c status?
Endowed with a broad network of over 13. Well, because they're religious, probably. They're a charity. $13 billion. They've granted funds to Christian ministries and colleges, not NGOs like World Vision, Heritage. They donate to the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank. Alliance Defending Freedom. Also, both of those groups tend to be anti-LGBT. And the foundations have really, sort of amorphous names like Jesus Foundation, Christian Heritage, something. So, because there's probably people that might be donating to this without even knowing what's happening or where their money's going.
Do you think this will have any impact? Like, we know that everything is moving in favor of LGBT people really, really fast. I wonder if this is going to just be like a man just standing with his hand in front of a giant train, thinking that it's going to be able to stop it, and the train is just going to run him over. Or would it have any measure, any noticeable impact? But go ahead.
These things have had impact before, but type of things on different bills. But being that the House of Representatives was bipartisan, it's possible that the Senate, could be too. But the Senate is often where bills like this go to die. So sometimes it takes several attempts to get it through the Senate. And then the other thing is sometimes people vote against things like this, not because they necessarily agree or disagree, but they got to own the other side. And we've got a serious problem with that right now in the United States government. So I'm hoping that people will see that, it would be beneficial to both the Democrats and the Republicans to pass a bill like this that's inclusive, because both of them can use that as talking points about, their party and, their inclusiveness. But it's hard to say, especially because religious people get so, upset for whatever crazy reason about some of these things. And that has a big influence on a lot of senators.
I mean, in terms of what kind of impact it would have, this is an act or a version of some type of civil protection like this has been in the works since the 1970s. Do we want to wait another 50 years? No, we don't. It's unexcusable, I think, either way.
It will definitely have an impact against that Texas guy, because if this passes, then the court can't fine for him.
True. It's just so frustrating because some people might say oh, well, yeah, you gaining these rights are inevitable. But for a lot of people, we can't wait that long.
It's not, power never concedes anything, right? Freely. So people say all the time, women got the vote. No one gave it to them. They fought for it. Black people got the, the freedom or Civil Rights Act. No, people went out and hit the pavement and fought tooth and nail for these things. So the idea that somehow it's just going to happen, I think it's good to be positive and to see the direction of a lot of things in the country. You know, for example, the Overfeld, you know, a lot of people never thought that would happen in their lifetimes. So, but at the same time, you can't underestimate the impact that massive amounts of money have in terms of trying to sway either politicians or a constituency.
Yeah, I think it was interesting because this also occurred while there were several other reveals of major corporations donating to generally anti-LGBT politicians. So this includes like Walmart and Amazon. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what they were accused of, who they were accused of donating to. But AT&T, for example, donated to Mitch McConnell's 2020 campaign while he was actively blocking the Equality Act. And so a lot of people were talking about how many corporations play both sides. It's not exclusive to these Christian billionaires. It could be, you know, so-called secular organizations that actually participate in pride parades. Like I go to San Francisco Pride. Google has, actually, I don't know if they donate anything, but I know Amazon has a float or, you know, part of the march. Same thing with AT&T. Like you see these massive corporations participate in pride marches. They have it all over their marketing, their icons for the month on social media and all this stuff, but they're trying to play it both ways by still paying into the pocket, so to speak, of politicians that heavily oppose these sort of progressive policies that they, you know, want to present that they support, because it's about like keeping a hand in the back pocket of whoever might have power.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of just like cynical marketing of like, it's good marketing to be in favor and publicly market that you're in support of pride and all that stuff. I think I like that is something that makes people money, you know, but I don't, because that means that that's a very popular opinion, right? But I don't like that it's just two-faced. It can be so two-faced.
And I don't think that is in actuality anything new with either large corporations, oligarchs, people in power, whomever. They often do make sure they have a hand on either side of the fence, particularly because they may not care one way or the other about the LGBT issue that, you know, or the whatever environment or whatever issue, but they want to be able to have some influence on these politicians or on the, you know, consensus when it affects them personally, whether it's taxes or trade or, you know, regulation. So you see that it's not necessarily that they actually have even an opinion. Their opinion is about them and their corporation and what's the best way to make sure that they've got someone to do them a favor on either side.
Okay. All right, cool. Can we move to the next news?
Yes.
It's
Can we
highly
clap?
clappable, highly.
Oh, really? Okay, great. Next news.
Next news.
Yay.
Death sentence for blasphemy against 2 Pakistani Christians overturned.
Wow, good news out of Pakistan.
Fantastic news out of Pakistan.
The only reason why we have good news out of Pakistan is because previously we had bad news out of Pakistan, and the undoing of that is the only way we could get good news out of Pakistan. But yeah, go on.
Okay. The Lahore High Court ruled against a Pakistani Christian couple's blasphemy conviction, blasphemy against Islam, back in 2014. Shagufta Kausar and her husband, Safkat Emmanuel, are finally expected to be freed after fighting a 7-year-long battle against their death sentence when they shouldn't have been convicted at all. Pakistan is known to have a wildly overboard and coercive blasphemy laws. death sentences are common, and vigilante mob lynchings without trial is a more likely scenario. Emmanuel and Kassar were convicted of allegedly sending blasphemous text messages insulting the Prophet Muhammad in 2014 to a local imam from a phone number registered in the former's name. However, the couple are of a low socioeconomic status, and neither of them is literate enough to send the messages in question. Saif ul Maluk, the couple's lawyer, who also fought for the mercy of the famous alleged blasphemy case of Asia Bibi, said that he is very happy that they were able to get the release of this couple who are among the most helpless people in Pakistani society.
Wait. Before Rivka, I have a question. These people were in jail for 7 years? Like, where were they for 7 years when they were fighting this?
It was a previous conviction.
Okay, where were they for 7 years?
Jail.
Okay, so the headline is Christian couple. Okay, so the current headline is death sentence for blasphemy against 2 Pakistani Christians overturned. My headline would be 2 Pakistani Christians were held for 7 years in prison for no reason at all. Okay, this is the celebration we get out of Pakistan. The fact that the 2 helpless couple who didn't do anything wrong and were held in prison for 7 goddamn long years, we're celebrating the fact that they were not killed. Okay, this is what we can expect from Pakistan. Anyways, Rivka, you want to say
so something? Just to put a point on that, yes, they spent 7 years on death row, but I do want to say something specific. Saif al-Maluk, phenomenal human being, met him in person. He defended Asia Bibi. He's had death threats. He was offered citizenship in the Netherlands and he declined it so that he could go back to Pakistan.
Brave mofo.
Exactly. So he could go back to Pakistan, and not only, and he told me this personally, not only to keep helping people, but to train other lawyers, because he said, I'm not going to live forever. And there have to be other attorneys who are willing to take on these cases. And this guy, just to put some context on it, is a believing Muslim, but he is also a believer in human rights. He's a believer in freedom and in free expression. So I can't say enough about this gentleman. He is really an amazing human being.
I completely agree. But on Rivka's point, I want to point out something now. He has since come out and said that he has to leave Pakistan. So this news item came out on the 5th of June saying a Pakistani lawyer who is globally recognized for defending the country's beleaguered religious minorities in blasphemy cases has made an emphatic appeal to the religious community to help him relocate to an English-speaking country. My message to the world: I can't survive anymore in my country. I want to shift to some English-speaking country. So he said on June 3rd. His tweet came hours after he won the acquittal of the Christian couple for what we described earlier. And he was also instrumental in the release of Asia Bibi, who the case of Asia Bibi led to the murder of a governor of a state of the state of Pakistan. So if you're willing to take out governors, like a lawyer is nothing. The lawyers of other alleged blasphemy cases in Pakistan, such as Junaid Hafiz, his lawyers were assassinated because of representing him.
So this just shows the level of pressure this gentleman is, because when I had this conversation with him, this was in 2019, I believe. So, yeah, and he was talking about how difficult it was for him. And when he was in the Netherlands, he was temporarily, he had thought, escaping some persecution and death threats and things like that. But yeah, I mean, this guy's a hero, and it's really sad that he has to leave this country for only trying to help people, and that people are taking it to this level. I really feel for him because he told me how much he loves Pakistan.
Yeah, he's highly decorated and receiving awards and honors from various legal and secular societies as
and
well.
human rights groups.
But I actually want to point out something important. So, do you guys remember when we talked about the resolution that went before the European Parliament regarding Pakistan's blasphemy laws and how they were going to pull like over $1 billion in a GSP plus economic incentive because of how bad the blasphemy situation in Pakistan had become?
Yeah.
In that resolution, they cite the case of this couple.
Oh.
This couple is the couple that is cited as an example of the persecution that is taking place because of blasphemy.
So they're being released for money.
Well,
they've been released so Pakistan couldn't
is that although Imran Khan outwardly doubled down on blasphemy law, look at what they're doing. They're still trying to like concede to the European Parliament.
Yeah. I have something to add. I don't want to wait. This is kind of raining on everyone's parade here because we celebrated this. However, this is nothing special right now for based on Pakistani standard. Nobody, Susanna, correct me if I'm wrong, nobody has been executed by the government in Pakistan for blasphemy by the government ever.
No.
Yeah. So the fact that these people were not executed, people die in blasphemy in Pakistan not by the government. They die from mob attacks. Okay? Many people in Pakistan have been on death row for blasphemy, but not a single one of them has been executed by the government. Their lives have been turned into hell because they are on death row and they're in jail for no reason. So when these people are like, oh yeah, these people were not, it was overturned, that is not unusual. Like that's every single goddamn case. The bad news is that these people are held like this for a very long time, and then the risk mostly comes after they're released, because just because the government doesn't execute them, that doesn't mean the mob is just going to sit by and let these people live, right? So like people are like, yay, Pakistan is doing something great for once. No, this is exactly the same game that has been played over again. Like nobody should have been shocked by the fact that these people are not going to haven't been executed. But Sus, you have your hand
That's not the point. The point is that these people are no longer suffering in prison where they shouldn't be. That's what we're celebrating. Right.
No, but you were celebrating that. Some people in the live chat were saying, like, I don't know. So I was addressing people who thought like, I was just addressing people who might not know the context. I know you know the context, right?
Yeah, like they're no longer on death row in Pakistan.
Yeah, I'm not saying that that's not a good thing, right? Obviously, not being in jail is a good thing, but we also have to know that it's not like everything. It's not the case is not clear for these people. These people are still at risk. Like it's not like these people are now saved.
They're probably going to have to leave the country.
Yes, so like just understand that it's really great that they're not suffering in like rotting in jail, but these people have been accused of blasphemy in a country where mobs attack people who are attacked.
Even if they leave the country, their extended family are likely going to
right.
be targets.
Yeah, like these people's lives have turned into hell forever. Basically.
They're not going to get a wrongful conviction money from the government of Pakistan or anything like that, for sure. No, I mean it's awful, and it's really sad that it's almost like this bizarre, perverse form of torture. Like we know we're not going to actually execute you, but we're just going to hold you in jail and bankrupt you and bankrupt your family and cause all kinds of, potential violence against you or your family. It's very perverse, but I am glad that they're not in jail anymore. And I'm sad that Saif al-Muluk has to leave, feels like he has to leave Pakistan. But I know I say this all the time, but got to give a shout out to lawyers. People really put them down, but lawyers are holding back the wall of injustice all over the world. So
when you're doing it right, you're doing it right. And, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so true. If there are people who are looking in countries that are extremely religious or want to change something about their society and you're a young person, I encourage you to think about law school. Let's move to the next news. We definitely cannot clap.
Okay, next news.
Next news. Anti-Muslim attack in Canada kills 4 family members. On June 8th, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau promised to double down on efforts to confront far-right groups 2 days after a hate-motivated attack that killed 4 Muslim family members in the city of London, Ontario. Canadian police said the family was killed on June 6th when a pickup truck jumped up the curb and ran them over. The victims were of 3 generations of a family ranged from age 15 to 74. Prime Minister Trudeau said that Canada would continue fighting hate and taking more action to dismantling far-right hate groups like the Proud Boys by adding them to Canada's terrorist organization list. I am using coded language because of the YouTube algorithm.
Just say radical groups because people don't know what we mean by terrorist because YouTube is sensitive to certain words, but yeah.
Police detained the man named Nathaniel Veltman, 20, in a parking lot about 0.3 of a mile from the mosque. Nathaniel was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Authorities are examining potential terrorism or radical charges.
Okay, so I don't know how to add commentary to something so tragic. Like it's just like, horrible people doing extremely violent activity, and I hope the measures that are taking place are not measures that are just supposed to be virtue signaling, but measures that have proven to, because there's 2 types of measures you could take when it comes to in response to actions like this. Measures that have statistical evidence that is going to actually solve the problem, and there are measures that you could take that has statistically proven to appease the crowd and appease the media, right? And it's very tempting as a politician to take the measures that the mob and the crowd wants from you, rather than the measures that actually scientifically have been proven to have an impact. So I really hope Canada goes. I don't know what they're gonna I don't know what they're gonna do in response to this. But I hope they take the right. Rivka, you want to say something?
It's absolutely horrific. But one thing that I have noticed in the coverage of this is the country of Canada is absolutely outraged, shocked, hurt. I mean, almost everything I've seen, not almost everything I've seen out of Canada is people just taking this as very serious. They're really saddened about this. They had a 7-kilometer march. There were thousands of people in Ontario, and then they also had marches in other cities, condemning hate crimes, condemning bigotry. And so I feel like they're just really ready to put some teeth into any kind of, anti-extremist legislation. And hopefully the negative reaction that against this guy and this horrible crime hopefully people will realize, look, you know what, this kind of stuff we don't want this in Canada.
Overall, Canada has done better than many countries to make. I'm obviously not perfect, but Canada has done better than most countries in making different groups of people feel welcome in the country and feel like they're Canadian, right? Like more Muslims in Canada feel like they're Canadian than Muslim in France feel like they're French. So overall, Canada is a welcoming country. Yeah. Yeah. Go on.
The police are saying that this was a planned and premeditated attack, like specifically because of these people's faith. I know that people in the live chat are asking like exactly what type of group that he's from. I actually haven't seen anything regarding that. Whether that's been identified or if that was like assumed by authorities.
Somebody in the live chat is saying the driver wasn't part of any member of organized group. Yeah, but you can be impacted by views from certain movements without being a member of those groups.
Yeah, and that's the impression I got from what I was reading about this guy, that he was, like they say, radicalized,
Lone
either
wolf.
online or, reading things like this. That was the impression that he wasn't necessarily part of an organization, but again, doesn't mean that he wasn't influenced by them.
I also noticed that Trudeau uses Islamophobia as a term here. Honestly, when it comes to
It's been
events
used
like
a
this,
lot in this type of event. It's been used a lot.
yeah, I mean that's not the word we use. We use anti-Muslim bigotry, but I don't think like it's worth making it a big deal, right? I mean, it's not the time. Like if you notice, people are highlighting an event like this and they're using the term Islamophobia. I don't think that's a good time to correct them. I think when at the time that people are trying to bring attention to a tragedy like this, we know what they mean by Islamophobia. We know what they're saying is what we call anti-Muslim bigotry. Correct them at another time, right? Because at a time like this, we want them to, anybody who's bringing attention to events like this, whatever term they're using, even if it's not accurate, it's fine, okay? Like this, maybe correct, maybe bring it up, not exactly during the time of events like this, right? I'm bringing it up, but I'm not like confronting. I'm not like confronting somebody that is like, oh, this is Islamophobia. I'm not making it about, oh no, you're using the wrong term. Use anti-Muslim bigotry. Islamophobia is incorrect because ideas do not deserve protection. People deserve protection. Yeah. That's what people mean right now. Even though it's technically not correct, people are referring to anti-Muslim bigotry. A lot of them, at least, when they're using Islamophobia. So it's not the best, but it's fine. Yeah, Susanna.
Ali Rizvi had a good tweet on that he posted that's made, I think, a very important point. More Muslims in Canada have been killed by anti-Muslim radicals than non-Muslims have been killed by Islamic radicals.
Is that true?
I don't know. I would like to know if that's true.
Is he talking? Wait, more than both of those is Muslims by Islamic radicals. On top of both of that, if we're talking
in
globally.
Canada specifically.
Oh, in Canada,
Canada,
of course, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that number is correct. But yes, if you're talking Canada, yes, I'm pretty sure that number is correct, unless somebody proves otherwise. Okay, so yeah, and did we mention the boy who survived?
The little 9-year-old boy, yeah, everybody in his family was killed but him. It's so sad, that poor little guy.
Yeah, I hope they give him some space and not use him for some PR thing. All right, like I'm pretty sure that they're gonna give him some space and.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's young, he's 9, he's under 18. And honestly, I think people need to just leave kids out of this kind of stuff. I mean, he's already suffered enough, poor guy.
And he's going to have to go through the trauma of testifying in court too.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So anything we need to highlight, or should we go to the next news?
Let's go to the next news and we can clap.
All right. Next news. Wait. People are telling me in the live chat that I'm not clapping correctly. What am I doing wrong?
What?
Is it not manly enough? Next news. Is that good?
That's what it's about. Next news. Saudi Arabia restricts volume of mosque speakers. So I thought this was very interesting. As part of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's extensive modernization initiative, Saudi Arabia restricted the use of loudspeakers with the Islamic Affairs Ministry, saying the speakers cannot be louder than 1/3 of their maximum capacity. Local media reported that mosques could use loudspeakers only for the azan, or the Muslim call to prayer, and the Iqamat, the second call for communal prayer. The Islamic Affairs Minister defended the decision by saying that it had received several complaints about excessive noise. If mosques fail to implement the order, it might lead to the imposition of a penalty. The decision to impose restrictions on the use of loudspeakers in mosques has triggered outrage in the conservative Wahhabi Sunni-dominated Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. I want to know what you think about it, Susanna. Okay, which one do you think? Like, because some people are like, "Yay, progress in Saudi Arabia." Okay, I just think like, okay, so we getting the volume of azan in Saudi Arabia is going down. Okay. The volume of the screams of the people who are being tortured in Saudi prisons are going up, right? So anybody that is seeing this as a sign of progress, right? I just think that maybe it's because you're deaf to the actual noise that we have to worry about, and that's the sign. It's the sound of people screaming in pain because they're being tortured because they have complained against this man's authority or fought for human rights. I think that's the actual sound that we need to worry about. What do you think?
You make a very astute point, Mr. Navabi. I am in complete agreement. Yeah.
This is
That's why I said modernization in air quotations, because it's like, this is how it's presented. It comes at a large cost to the people of Saudi Arabia in other forms. So, yeah.
Do not see the guys, do not fall for this. This is not progress. This is a sign of desperation by a group of people who are losing money, and they are they're reading their writing on the wall. They know that oil prices will not stay up forever, and if they drop too fast, if technology advances as fast as we think, and oil is replaced with other sources of energy, these people will be desperate for money, and the power that they used to enjoy is dwindling away extremely fast, and they need alternative sources of support and income, and they are desperately signaling to the whole world that we are modernizing. But the modernization they're doing is a fake form of modernity. They are putting lipstick on a pig. They want to show signs of modernity without actually accepting Enlightenment values when it comes to free speech, when it comes to women's rights, when it comes to gay rights, when it comes to allowing people to protest, when it comes to allowing people to vote and choose the people who represents them. None of that. They're not going for any of that. In fact, when it comes to actual measures of modernity and Enlightenment, they're going the opposite. They only want to signal some fake virtue signals to the world to be like, we're open for business, please give us your tourist money, please give us your investment, we promise we behave. But behind their prison doors, they're actually misbehaving more than ever before. And also in the battlefields in Yemen, they're bombing innocent women and children and even mosques, and they're using starvation as a weapon of war against innocent civilians. The current people who are in charge in Saudi Arabia are worse than the people that came before them, not better. Do not fall for this fake sign of progress. Sus.
Someone when we posted this on Facebook, had an interesting point, which I thought was I wanted to put forth this like interesting juxtaposition. They posted a link to this article where a Buddhist Indonesian woman was jailed for complaining about how loud the call to prayer was. So I thought that was very interesting, like the difference in reaction. That was in 2018. And she was basically found guilty of insulting Islam. Whereas like here we have the kingdom that is the protector of the two cities, which is like, we got to turn this down. But Armin makes a very important point, and MBS says openly and publicly in his own language for the journalists for his kingdom, like, we're changing because of money. He says it openly. You're like, Armin's like, they're desperately signaling, like they say it, like they spell it out. They don't even spell it out. They just say it for you. Like it's very, it's just so obvious what's going on. Rivka?
So I do think there is one positive effect aside from people's eardrums. And that is that this could actually help with some places that are attempting to have regulation on the loudspeakers from mosques for the azan call in Western countries or other parts of the world have been accused of being bigoted or not religious freedom. So in that sense, I think it could, because they'd say, no, look, Saudi Arabia did it, you know, the center of Islam. So it's a real thing. It's a valid complaint. It's not any kind of bigotry. Maybe. I'm just wondering if that might be, you know.
My experience with Muslim communities in Germany, in the UK, in France, in Australia, and North America is that they consider the Saudis to be the devil reincarnated. Like I don't, so they wouldn't like,
Yeah, but
I know.
From the legislators' point of view, they could say, look, you know, this is going on all over the world, even in, you know, so that's something I think could be positive. But I absolutely agree with you that this is a facade to the Western world. You know, in Arabic on some of those, you know, journalists, he's saying it straight out. But yeah, it's a way to look like they're giving, you know, they're throwing pennies to the peasants. But meanwhile, you know, all these other things are happening. Yeah, maybe you can go to the movies and the loudspeakers aren't so loud, but you still, you know, are subject to all kinds of draconian restrictions on your freedom.
Yes, and also crucifixion and beheadings.
Indeed.
Yeah.
He ain't wrong.
I also wonder, you mentioned, Susanna, about some conservative reactions. I just wonder how far this is going to go. Like the Wahhabis are getting the short end of the stick here in Saudi Arabia, and I think like a lot of us are dismissing their influence as if like MBS, like Mohammed bin Salman, can come in and just like they tried this before. They tried this 43 years ago, and it backfired, and now they're making another attempt. Like Reza Shah and Mohammad Reza Shah tried to do the same thing. Ataturk tried to do the same thing. Reza Shah tried to do the same thing. Ataturk backfired many years later. Reza Shah backfired much earlier. I just don't know if Mohammed bin Salman is going to experience what Mohammad Reza Shah experienced with the, you know, with the Islamists in his country. Like I don't feel like people are acting like I'm not saying he can't, but like he's just rolling over the Wahhabis and just like ignoring their demands. These people have roots in Saudi Arabia. Like we could
Are
be
you talking about like another potential like grand mosque seizure, like 1979.
I'm
style?
talking an
Like,
Islamic revolution, like what happened
like in Iran. Well, I
Yes.
wonder if, though, on some level, they're not in on it. In the sense of him saying, look, guys, you want to know, we got to keep the money flowing. We have to keep the control. So, you know, you got to give a little to get a little. Maybe.
No.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, these people breed, like when we're talking about the Wahhabis, like, no, they're being completely pushed aside. They're like, we need, like, they're not on the same, like, they're not their powers and their authority is being taken away from the roots, right? When Mohammed bin Salman comes and dismisses the authentic hadith, this is not like a short term, like, hey guys, let's just.
You're right. This isn't the speakers.
Yeah. Like this is like, no, we're like completely debasing everything that gives you power.
We're gonna
Right?
open the gates of Ishtihad.
Yeah,
That's where
exactly.
we're going.
Yeah.
Not even
What's
going.
in
That's
the
where
box?
that's where we've arrived. That's where we've arrived.
Well, and we'll see, if it does backfire on them. But at the same time, maybe the backfire will be countered by all the young people who are, by the time it gets to that point, have had it with
Yeah,
all
but
of
that's
it.
happened. What happened with Iran was the liberals who just jumped on back of the liberals used the Islamists to try to
Right.
bring down the monarchs. And once the monarchs came down, the Islamists were like, guess what? We are the only organized group in town. So
I know.
thank you for your help, liberals. Now we're gonna for taking down the monarch, but now we're gonna take over, right? So
Thanks
maybe
for marching with us, but put on that hijab. Yeah.
right, yeah. So but by the way, Suze, there are some interesting comments in the live chat. Do you want to highlight them before we go to the next news?
Well, you should just go ahead if you think there's something
Um,
interesting.
Okay. Let's go with this one.
Chihaya is saying you're right. They consider the House of Saud to be a. Can I even say this?
Ooh, no.
I'm not going to say that.
Okay, just read it on the screen. Next go.
Yeah, there's agreeing with you. Like it could become the next Iran.
This one.
Reza Shah and Ataturk shoved it down people's throat. Bin Salman is smart. He is testing the waters and will bring reforms over a long period of time.
Well, he's bringing he's doing reforms, but the other way around. Like he's basically he's very much the same. He's like doing fake signal. No, actually, it's even worse than
it's worse because
it's worse.
People are trying to push for freedoms. Like, is it Layla Al-Hathlul who was pushing for the right for women to drive in Saudi? She was arrested for being a radical, using coded language. And then within months of her being arrested, it was it came down from the authorities that women are now allowed to drive. And so then, but even so, she still remained in jail, being tortured, sexually abused,
like 3 more years or something.
For several more years.
No, guys, I understand. A lot of people are like, oh, Armin, Mohammed bin Salman is like, it's not, Armin thinks like it should happen faster, but Mohammed bin Salman is doing it slowly and you should be patient. No, guys, if you actually pay attention to what's happening, it's not that it's slowly moving in the right direction. It's actually very fast moving in the opposite direction. Only the things that people, like only the virtue signals that people see, like, oh, going to the movies, women being able to drive cars, women in the military, and now Azan's volume being down. These are visual, like people, things that the media pays attention to. But with any measurement of actual human rights, torture, death penalties, getting rid of anybody who dissents, women rights, all of the actual measures, freedom of speech, and also violating the human rights of Yemenis people and Saudi people. With the actual measurements, it's not that, oh, Mohammed bin Salman is moving in the right direction, but maybe too slow. No, it's not that. It's actually making it worse. Like this is the reform in the wrong direction. Like people, like if you don't see that, you're not paying attention.
He's like the Wizard of Oz guy. He's, behind the curtain, in the sense of doing all these things, and then in front of the curtain, oh, we'll let him drive, and the whole world will be like, yay, Saudi Arabia, welcome to the 21st century.
Exactly.
But that allows them to keep doing all the 7th century crap that they're doing, and I also think an important thing to talk about with regard to Saudi Arabia was your point about the woman who was in jail for advocating for women to drive. I think it's also a big component of any of this is that MBS and the Saudi government makes it known that only they can give or grant you anything, that you do not have the freedom, the empowerment, or any rights to ask for or to advocate for anything for yourself.
Change is not going to come democratically. That's
No,
exactly my point.
It's only from the top down, only if he grants it to you by his mercy or something.
That's exactly the mistake Mohammed Reza Shah made. He looked at Europe and he looked at Ataturk and like, I want that, right? But he wanted that while maintaining full control. He didn't understand that those things came about after certain rights, people were given a seat at the table. He was like, no. I don't need to give democracy. I don't need to give people free speech. I don't need make people, private institutions, to do their own thing without my involvement. I could look at what Europe looks like, and me on my own can make all of that happen without like, and I will have the final say.
It doesn't like the look of liberalism without. It's not real liberalism.
It's not real liberalism. It's just
it's like authoritarian version.
Yes, exactly. Just the look of like, oh yeah, I could. Yeah, good luck with that. Okay, can we clap for the next news? Oh yeah, we can.
Yes.
Next news.
This is my favorite news this week. That's why I saved it for last. U.S. Embassy in Vatican flies the pride flag. So this was just an overall a massive W. I mean, people
Take
have
that.
they're oh my god, the Biden administration. This is the worst thing ever. I'm like, all I see is massive W's for the most part.
This is so good.
This is a massive dub. This is hilarious. So, in honor of the LGBT. In honor of the LGBT plus community, during the month of June, the United States Embassy to the Holy See, or what most people understand to be the Vatican, has decided to fly the pride flag, the rainbow pride flag. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken stated at the beginning of 2021 that U.S. embassies and consulates would fly the pride flag on the same flagpole as the American flag during Pride season. This authorization under the Biden administration, which was not a mandate, was announced before May 17th, which is the International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia. However, officials have asked for U.S. embassies located in specific places to not fly the flag to avoid potential reaction. The Trump administration reportedly prohibited the flag from being flown on flagpoles outside of federal buildings, but allowed the flag to be hung inside. The declaration has caused some resistance among Americans, specifically Catholics, who inquired if the flag was flying outside embassies where homophobia was punishable by death.
Cry harder, Catholics. Cry harder. Your tears are delicious. Oh my God, this is such a great troll. Amazing. I love it. Go on.
Good job, USA.
Yeah, I just love this idea that there's this like right in the Holy See. I don't know the exact geography of it, so this is just my imagination. That there is, some just asshole bishop has to look outside his window and see this pride flag just in his face for a month.
It's like the Rainbow House right across from the Westboro Baptists or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, and he just has to stare at it. And then, I love this report by Snopes. Snopes is like, was the pride flag flung at the U.S. Embassy in the Vatican? True.
Okay, wait. So is the U.S. embassies doing this in Islamic countries?
That is not my understanding, which was what I wanted to get into next, because it reminded me of this meme posted by ex-Muslims of North America, where they have you see a bunch of pride flags. Well, it's actually the icons of various businesses, like major corporations. And so you see their like global account, verified account, has rainbow icons all the way down on the left. But then if you see the verified accounts for their Middle East subsidiaries, they are the standard
Right. Not only
non-pride, non-rainbow logos for the Middle East region. And so XMNA is saying the whole point of having hashtag pride is to empower, not cower.
wow, that's a very good line. Yeah, some of these it's actually worse than its image even, because some of these organizations had their logos switched to LGBT everywhere except Middle East. You know what I mean? Like especially that last one. What is that thing? What is that?
Bethesda. Isn't that a
Yeah.
video game company?
Okay.
Well, it's also a
It doesn't
medical
matter.
place and a state. In
Yeah,
Maryland.
it doesn't. You guys get enough point. Like they, for example, had like I don't know, every single country they turn it, like every single region they turn it into LGBT except the Middle East. Like guys, like so what's the point of Pride where you guys come in and celebrate it after everybody has done the hard work of fighting against I don't know, taboos, and you guys are such pathetic organizations that the places where you are needed the most to make a statement you cower in, like you are it's like this should be constantly used as a way to embarrass them. And again, I also want to know, is the United States going to fly this is the perfect time for United States to fly the gay pride flag in Saudi Arabia's embassy in United. I want to see United States Embassy in Saudi Arabia to fly the gay pride parade. And if not, why not? Especially now that they flew it in Vatican, right? Because they're making a statement like, oh, we're not, oh, you're offended by this Vatican? That doesn't matter. We're going to still fly it. Okay. Well, let's be consistent then. Why not Saudi Arabia? Why not Saudi Arabia? It would be the first time if United States Embassy flies the gay flag in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, would it not be the first time the gay flag was risen somewhere in Saudi Arabia? That would be such a badass move. No, Biden, nobody would hate you for this except Saudi Arabia. Nobody would dare criticize in the Holy Land. Oh my God, this would be so beautiful. In the land of Islam, the gay flag. I'm telling you, MBS and the whole Riyadh, administration, all the Saudis, they would not dare kick you out. Like they are desperately in your need right now. They're not going to close down the embassy. They can't. Just raise the flag. Anything they complain about would just be international. Like their butthurt over this would be celebrated. Like the fact that they're going to complain about it, the world would not take their side. The world would take your side. Biden, that would be the most badass move ever. Raise the LGBT. Guys, petition for Biden to raise the LGBT flag in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. Okay, both of you want to speak. Go ahead.
So Anthony Blinken actually addressed that sort of in his statement where he was saying they should, except for in places where it could be dangerous to the embassy officials to do something like that. So let's not forget that a lot of the people who work in embassies in other countries are not necessarily
Saudi Arabia is safe. This is not Baghdad. This is Riyadh. It's different.
I know. I'm just bringing that up, that was one of the things. But I still think your point is valid. But I think that was one of the things he was talking about with safety. But I'll tell you where in the Middle East there is a gay pride flag, like crazy.
Lay it on them, Rivka.
Tel Aviv! Yerushalayim!
That's good. Good way of taking advantage of this. That's good. By the way,
music guys saying they should wear rainbow keffiyeh.
Oh my God, look at the virtue signaling happening in our live chat. Let the ladies speak, Armin. They have their fingers up. Okay, White Knight. I'm sure the ladies are noticing that what are you, an alpha male? Or like, what is this virtue signaling happening? God damn it. Like, okay, we notice you are on the side of women. Okay, congratulations. Jesus. All right.
Well, to Armin's point about how it'd be awesome if the Biden administration did this in places like Saudi Arabia. Like, I don't, or even corporations in general. Like, if BMW Middle East did something like that, like we have to realize that puts like individuals at risk, not just the organization that chooses to do so. Like any given employee. And they might not necessarily agree to that. That might not be a risk that they want to take. Or even, you had your argument for why if they did this in Saudi, like that embassy is protected, it wouldn't be affected there. I think it's still possible that even doing that in Saudi could result in actions upon other U.S. consulates or embassies in other nations, not even Saudi. It could have a much wider backlash.
Yeah. Actually, Chiawa is okay making the same point. Yeah, you guys are right, because Riyadh, I'm pretty sure American safeties and American personnel safety can be guaranteed in Riyadh itself. But Shia is saying it'll become a big problem. Not only. I don't think in Saudi Arabia it will become that big of a deal. Like U.S. I'm pretty sure the security there for U.S. personnel is pretty much guaranteed. But yeah, maybe other Islamic countries, but throughout the Middle East and the wider Muslim world. Yeah, you're right. I take it back. I take back my suggestion. But what does that say about the Muslim world right now? That this has to be. Wait. So are we saying? No, bring that back, because that will. Should we not be charitable to these organizations as well then, for the sake of, because maybe somebody could tell the ex-Muslim of North America, like, hey, ex-Muslims of North America, Mercedes-Benz is not cowering. Mercedes-Benz is taking into account the safety of its personnel in these countries into account. So it's like they're not going to take a risk on behalf of all their workers in these countries for them, something that they might not consent to. Would that not be a fair criticism? Would that not be a fair charitable interpretation of the policies by these organizations then?
Well, yeah, that's what I just said, but
I think it's both. I think that they're concerned about their employees, but they also don't want to upset the apple cart in these countries that they have big markets in.
I think, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking internally about like how I would maybe address the situation better. Like, I'm trying to think if I was the global, representative of Mercedes-Benz and I made the decision that it should be rainbow for the overall brand, but typical for the Middle East subsidiary, like I'm trying to think if I decide if it would be better addressed if the company made a statement about that. Like, we're doing this because we support rights, but we don't want our workers to be harmed. But then I'm thinking if maybe putting forth a statement like that itself would cause a problem.
I'm gonna come on the side of big corporate, and I'm gonna defend them in the most charitable way possible. Okay, I'm Armin taking big corporate side. Okay, so here's the defense of big corporate. This is what I'm gonna say on their behalf. You know what, guys? We are making it a statement. Look at what we're doing. We're changing all our logos everywhere to LGBT except in the Middle East. What do you think that says? What do you think that says about the Middle East? We're highlighting the fact that this is the only place where we can do it. That by itself is a conversation starter. That by itself, that's a statement by itself. You have to read.
You're right. I think you're right.
The lines. Okay, yeah.
The only place we can't do it in the Middle East, except Israel.
Right. Has
to be pointed out. I'm serious.
You're just like hammering it home. Yeah, I think. Well, Armin, that's a very interesting point. A very interesting way to do a little bit of 5D chess. However, they're not the ones making that point. There are other organizations like XMNA who are highlighting that fact. So It's not a real statement because they're not making that statement. Other people.
Because we can't. We're letting you do it for us.
But then that's not actually taking a stand.
I know, because of the safety of our personnel, we can't take a stand ourselves. But you guys take and you guys highlight it. Thank you so much, ex-Muslim of North America, for showing the difference. I'm just being.
I don't think that entered their mind, but it is.
Right.
It is informative of the fact that it's a statement by omission, because the omission says this isn't safe, or people will get upset, or this isn't accepted in that part of the world. So yeah, I seriously doubt that they're
Yeah.
like, well, we won't do it, but some people will highlight it and that'll show why. No,
I'm joking. I hope people know I'm joking.
I know you are, but I do think your point is still valid in the sense that the not doing it is also a statement in and of itself that it's not possible, or it could be dangerous, or the lack of LGBT rights in those places.
Yeah. Well, we just unpacked this on multiple levels.
we did. Okay. We have one more news item, and this one is exciting. So wait, hold on. Let me bring it up. Okay, I know I can clap for this one. Next news.
Last news. Atheist Republic speech about blasphemy Zoom bombed. So, guys, last week I gave a talk at the Center for Inquiry Canada virtually. Thank you to everyone from the AR community who showed up live. And if you showed up live, you already know what this news is about. So, I was really excited about this event. This is like my first solo speaking event. And I gave a talk about
Link in the description. Go ahead.
I gave a talk about why I think blasphemy is a legitimate form of protest, and Atheist Republic's Blasphemous Art Project and our goals and our thinking behind that project. So there were two sections to this talk. There was the main presentation, which I gave for almost an hour. And then it was followed by a Q&A. And during the Q&A, we were Zoom bombed. So for people who don't know what that means when you're using the video conference application Zoom, someone will come into the meeting and do things like hack the screen share, or maybe take over the control. So they'll draw stuff all over the screen share and just like generally disrupt it and try to cause disturbance. So someone did that in the middle of my Q&A portion of the event. All of a sudden, I was answering a question, and the screen share was hacked to show. I don't even know what I can say on YouTube. It was hacked to share adult video of anal sexual intercourse.
Say it again.
It was anal adult video.
That doesn't really describe. Okay, sure. Let's go.
But of more hardcore variety, where the butthole's falling out.
Okay,
I don't know what else to say.
It's called prolapse. The word is prolapse.
That's more graphic to say.
I didn't know this word before you guys. Like, how you both know this? I did not know
you
this.
Didn't know.
I know it because
you're a nurse.
A nurse, but
it can happen to many different parts of the body.
It can.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were at the was it a quality adult video though? I'll let the people who are there speak for it.
Honestly, though, I think it shows you've arrived. That if someone took
Rivka.
the time and energy to do this, that means that Doorknob Head Prolapse Anus, great band name. It is.
Oh, no, God.
We actually predicted this before.
Yeah.
Zoom calls usually get bombed. And I was telling to Susanna before this Zoom call, like, this is about blasphemy and how people from Hindutva are constantly after us and trying to not let us speak, right? And I'm like, it would be amazing if they make our point for us if they Zoom bomb this event, right?
Well, because I was talking to Armin before, like nerves and stuff, and there were I saw on comments of where I was promoting this event, there were people basically doing the old, it'd be a shame if someone came and disrupted that little event of yours, wouldn't it? Like, people were inferring that this was going to happen in the comments, so I knew to expect it. And yeah, it completely just proves the point of why I think it's important to engage in this form of expression. If you guys want to see the full speech, Armin took a screen recording of it, and it's on YouTube. Link is in the description, or you can just search for the Blasphemous Art Project, like Center for Inquiry Canada, and you can find it that way. If you want to see my full speech, Armin, help me give a plug for my speech. What did you like about it? Why should people go watch it?
Oh, it was much better than any speech I've ever given. So that's one thing. It was really good. It was very informative. Everyone loved it.
And porn. Oh, I said it.
Said the word. Got. All right. Well, this video is getting nuked. Guys, share this video because now the algorithm is working against us. But no, we didn't
Rivka
record.
Nuked it. Remember when Rivka ruined our news item?
It's okay. But here's the thing. No, I did not. I mean, that's nuking. That, what is it called? When people come to your Zoom bomb, the Zoom bombing happened during the Q&A. Obviously, it wouldn't be during the section that I record, because if that was on YouTube would be striking it down. So here's the thing: whoever Zoom bombed us, they did it at the wrong time, because I was streaming the actual speech, but then once the speech was over, I thought the Zoom bombing is going to come during the Q&A, so I started recording the Q&A without streaming it, because I didn't want our channel to get a strike. So the Zoom bombing happened during the Q&A, and our channel, and when Suze was doing this, the Q&A, she was so worried because she knew that I was streaming this. So
that's the first thing I said. I was like,
she was like, Armin, go remove this from YouTube. I was like, don't worry. We're not streaming this part, okay? So don't worry about it. Just continue, all right? So,
Armin foiled you, Zoom bombers. Take that.
We saw it coming. But guys, go watch the speech. It was really good. It was very informative. Somehow she said things about all of the things that happened to us. Like I learned some things that I didn't know about blasphemy and the new laws and some trends. And it was very informative. It was funny, informative, and professional at the same time. So go check it out. And I'm glad that I recorded it, because I want more people to know that how badass Susie is, and to invite her to more events. So now we have evidence for how awesome Susie is in this video and her speech. So go check it out and go share it. Yeah, this is our CEO, and we're proud of it.
Aww. Ghost Bunny is saying we need more fantastic news. Secular Rarity is giving me a compliment on my speech, saying it gave a lot of good examples of how blasphemy is actively harming people right now. Thank you. Chihaya is saying they'll check it out. And Chihaya is also asking, is the footage with the hack still available? I think, well, not for public consumption, but yes.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, you have to really be into that specific, guys. It's not for everybody. That type of adult video. Like it was like I was like, yeah, no. But hey, guys, I'm not shaming anybody who's into that. I'm just warning people who are not. That's anyways. It's not in the recorded section anyway. So why am I warning people?
Wait, this is so funny. Katie is giving me code to describe it. Quite explicit intimacy between consenting nude adults has been presented to people as a form of video. By the way, to get around the algorithm. This is what we've come to.
By the way, it's so funny that people who object to this are sending us that.
Yeah.
Zoom bombing our videos with that kind of video as objection to something that they think is too sexual, which is this, with no nudity. This is all the fuss is about this imagery, right, of their goddess. And you're like, oh my god, you guys are degenerates. Let me Zoom bomb you with prolapsing anuses, right?
Shia is insisting. There's nothing that shocks me. I just want the video.
Okay, for people that have
I can honestly say I do not want to see that, so I'm glad that it's not for public.
Honestly, I thought it was going to be something way worse.
people who are
I was
actually
expecting way worse.
people who watch hardcore stuff consider that to be vanilla. So a lot of people told us that that's vanilla. I was like, oh my god, if this is your vanilla, I don't know what you watch. All right, but that was fun. By the way, guys, also whoever Zoom bomb us, thank you for making our coverage of Susanna's event and interesting, more exciting and interesting news, right? Because
Well, that's actually what you said to me before the event when we were talking about this potentiality. You're like, hey, at least you'll know what your news item for the week will be.
Yeah, like, okay, if we get Zoom bombed,
one more thing off my list.
Yeah, you don't have to think about what you're going to cover for the 10th news.
But yeah, guys, please go check out my speech. Again, link in the description, and Armin put it in the chat earlier. This is something I really love talking about. I actually had to cut out like a full section of this speech for the sake of time that I think I want to turn into a whole different presentation or talk. I just need someone to invite me to a place where I can give it. But yeah, I have like a whole other speech that I want to give about like why we should blaspheme and more of a moral argument. This more talks about like why it's a problem and certain tactical advantages of it. But I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments, and I think people will really like it. I also made it visually very pretty, so it was also just like a pretty presentation.
You know what I keep thinking though about the Zoom bomb? You know that meme with the hamster on the road? They see me rolling, they hate.
Wait, this is the
so
part
you've arrived.
Yeah, this is the part of the speech I like the most because she put our blasphemous art. Each one of them next to the news that the blasphemous art that we were making was relevant to. This was so great. This slide there was two slides. It was this one. This slide was like, boom, the backlash to our tweet of Sexy Cali. This slide was like a major, like give some perspective about how seriously they took just a cartoon. But also this one was really good. Like, look, this is news item. We did this blasphemous art for that news item. This one. So yeah, and also guys, we are making blasphemous art like this every week, every single week. So if you guys are interested in getting our blasphemous art for free, we send it to our newsletter subscribers for free. So make sure you're subscribed to our newsletter. And yeah,
we have some awesome art recently. We started to get into new goddesses. So we just did an art with a Filipino goddess, and we are doing our first African goddess for our next art, and it looks freaking incredible.
Which goddess do we know, or can we not give it away? Like what? Ochun or?
Oh yeah.
Is it Ochun?
No.
Or we're not giving it away.
We're not? Okay, fine. Yeah, we're not giving it away. Yeah, so no, should we? No. You just subscribe to our newsletter so you guys. Okay, how about this? I'll just let you know. She's blind in one eye. Let us know.
That was the Filipino goddess.
Oh, okay, but the next one is a Filipino goddess that is blind in one eye, and she's a moon goddess.
That's the one we just did. The next one.
No, Sus, we haven't sent it to our newsletter subscribers yet.
Oh, never mind.
We're only released it to our patrons. Guys, our patrons get the nude version. Our newsletter subscribers, they get the safe for work version. The nude versions only for patrons, but don't worry, you don't have to support us financially to get the nude versions because the safe for work versions are also pretty good. Look, like they're very, very sexy. Okay, so if you can't afford to support us financially, don't worry. The safe for work version, like all of the stuff that you're seeing right now, they are the safe for work version. See, no nudity, and they're all available for free every single week to people who subscribe. Okay, so link in the description. Cool.
The
all right,
last
guys.
article we released on Patreon is one of my favorite.
Yes, and the
It's so
subscribers are gonna get that today. So hope you subscribe. Guys, if you're not yeah.
I love in
What?
this video of my speech, you have the comments from StreamYard. So it's you saying, look at this. Has anyone made better blasphemy?
That's- yes. All right, guys. Okay, talk to you guys soon, and bye-bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Rivka.